Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we have some football to talk about today. Lots of news has happened over the last 24 hours, so we're going to be breaking down Alexander Mattison's release, J.K. Dobbins recovery, some more rumors around Saquon Barkley, and plenty other NFL news to keep your fantasy football team and your NFL knowledge up to date. So, go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And before we get too far along, welcome in everyone. And also, I remembered this morning that this week was actually the 1-year anniversary of this show. Wake and Take has officially been going on for over a year now. We started last year, the week of the combine leading up to it. So Monday was technically the anniversary, and I totally forgot about it. Just remembered this morning. And so I just wanted to take a few seconds here to thank you guys, the audience, for always tuning in and making this show what it is today. Also, of course, would like to thank Player Profiler and the Podfather for giving me this platform. I love spending Monday through Friday mornings with you guys. It's just an incredible way to start the day, breaking down football news. So just thank you guys again for tuning in so much. And also, if I have helped you guys at any way for your fantasy football team, any advice I've given you on Wake and Take, any of that, I would love if you guys could either follow me on Twitter and, tweet at me like something that I did to help you guys from the show, or reply. I actually put a tweet out this morning about the 1-year anniversary, so maybe just reply to that. But I would love to hear how I've helped you guys. If there's anything, we could probably do a little bit of a year in review episode next week or something. But again, just really appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and making this show what it is. I really can't believe we've taken it this far, and I can't wait to see what happens after yet another incredible year of Wake and Take. So good morning to you all, and thank you all for these congratulations. You guys deserve it too. Congratulations on being here as well. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Let's go ahead and get into the show though, because that's what we're here for. We're here to hear about football, and we're here to give some takes. So we're going to do the first thing that is kind of the biggest news of really the week, to be honest. I know the combine's happening, but this is kind of big. And this just kind of happens in a weird time as well. So Alexander Mattison has been released by the Minnesota Vikings. Perhaps a bit premature, as the running backs haven't worked out yet at the combine, and they're interviewing today. So I felt like the Vikings maybe should have waited this weekend to make sure that they had, some running back on their set in stone. But I imagine that they've already done enough due diligence to know what we know here on Wake and Take, how deep this rookie running back class is. There's no true, obviously Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs type talent this year. But there are some incredible depth of the running back position this year. Really, really, genuinely, every single rookie running back coming in has something special about them, and they're all pretty much multifaceted running backs. I mean, when I was doing my Senior Bowl prep, all of them were receiving backs on top of being a really good running back, just generally. And then you just look at some of the other players as well that are at the top end. I mean, these are some all-purpose running backs really across the board. And so this is a really, really good draft class to get a running back, and especially to get a good running back late. And the Minnesota Vikings have probably realized that, know that they no longer need to pay up for Alexander Mattison, especially after a disappointing season. So the Vikings 100%, I know I'm saying it with 100% certainty, the Minnesota Vikings will be drafting a running back this year, and I would not be surprised if they become the starter by the end of the year. So I'm going to put out really an alarm. Let me see if I even have the alarm sound effect. Oh, yeah. Don't buy Ty Chandler. What are you doing? What are you doing? Please do not go out and pay for Ty Chandler after this news. I know that that's what a lot of people are saying, or even just it's time to sell Ty Chandler. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Ty Chandler's still a very, very good running back, but we saw how long it even took him last year to take snaps from Alexander Mattison, with Alexander Mattison not even playing that well. They will be drafting a running back, and that running back will be legitimate competition for Ty Chandler. Ty Chandler, yes, good running back, good profile. Last year was the Ty Chandler season. We got what we got out of him. There's going to be a very special rookie. Not sure what his name is yet, but there will be a rookie running back on the Minnesota Vikings who will be taking a lot from Ty Chandler by the end of the year, if not be the main guy. So the Vikings, this is a really good move for them. Like I said, I love this running back draft class. And Alexander Mattison is someone on Wake and Take and a cross-player profiler. We were screaming from the rooftops to avoid him last season. His ADP was way too high. His trade value was way too high. All of the hype was just way too much around Alexander Mattison. Now we know why. He's really not that good of a running back. And unfortunately for him, I'm not even sure where he can end up. I really do want to say if you have Alexander Mattison, I'm not going to say drop him, but you probably can. Like, let's be honest here. We've talked about now for a few weeks how stacked not even just this rookie running back class is, but also how stacked this free agency running back class is. You've got Saquon Barkley, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry. The list goes on and on and on about the running backs hitting the open market this year, including the rookie running backs that are all talented. So a guy like Alexander Mattison is going to struggle to find a landing spot and going to struggle to earn snaps no matter where he goes. It's really unfortunate. Heart goes out to him, and I'm sure he doesn't want his career to go out like this, but that's just kind of what happens in this sport. It's very hard to earn snaps, very hard to earn a starter role. He had his chance, didn't do enough, and now the Vikings are moving on and will be replacing him with a rookie. There will be a rookie running back in Minnesota, and he will be good. So start thinking about that. Literally write down, if you've got like a note thing going on your phone, like things to know for your rookie draft, write down Minnesota Vikings rookie running back. That's who you should be drafting. I don't care what name is attached to it. We've seen success in the system from a running back. And like I said, all of these rookie running backs have some really, really good skills. And with their scouting ability, they've done a really, really good job scouting rookies with this new regime in Minnesota. They're going to hit. So I'm just very, very excited about who it can be. And just want to remind you guys, don't trade for Ty Chandler, and definitely don't trade for Alexander Mattison. Don't do that. This way. The flip got me. But either way, that's Alexander Mattison, another running back that's making some headlines today. Actually, let me, before we move on, let me see if there's any let's see. Would you sell Ty Chandler for an early third? Yes, 100%. Especially if it's this year's third. I would take a fourth. I would literally take a fourth for Ty Chandler and maybe a fifth. Like I said, I love how deep this rookie draft class is. There's going to be insane value. And if you tune into Wake and Take, which I know you do, Jamie, we're going to hit on those late round picks. You're going to come in, you're going to say, I have the 504, and I'm going to tell you exactly who to get, and it's going to be the right pick. So don't worry about Ty Chandler. I really, really do think that he last year was his ceiling. He'll probably have a few weeks, right, if they get a rookie like weeks 1 through 3, where he's like getting a 55% snap share. But this rookie running back that they bring in will take over. And even if they don't get a rookie, which I know they will, they're still going to bring in a running back from the free agency. So yes, take a draft pick for Ty Chandler for sure. Any of them. Let's go ahead and move on to the next running back making some headlines, and that's J.K. Dobbins. And this is a guy whose fantasy football value has completely plummeted, reasonably so because the guy can't stay healthy. But my philosophy kind of when it comes to injury-prone players in fantasy football is that players are injury-prone until they're not. All of like my early fantasy football career, it was don't draft Christian McCaffrey. He's injury-prone. Then I draft him, right, and he gets injured. But then the next year I don't draft him anymore, and he hasn't really been injured since. Deebo Samuel, for example, a guy who was always pegged as injury-prone, gets injured, still every once in a while, but still has been a really, really good fantasy football asset the last few seasons after being labeled injury prone. Really, the list goes on and on about players who are injury prone who then just aren't anymore. And J.K. Dobbins, a very, very risky asset with all of the injuries that he's had, ACLs and now Achilles. But he's still so talented. And this video came out yesterday. Let me go ahead and share my screen and follow profiler_NFL on Twitter while I'm here. But check out this video on his recovery. Looks pretty good to me. We're going to keep watching here, but running on the treadmill, doing some sprints, leaning off of his heel. The dude looks healthy to me. I could be wrong. Maybe I don't know what a healthy running back looks like, but when I'm watching a 49-second video of a guy running on a treadmill, doing full speed sprints, leaning off of his heels, I think that his Achilles is probably good, especially since it happened early in the season. And we've seen now that the recovery from Achilles does seem to be a little faster than some would suggest. So either way, just wanted to highlight that because J.K. Dobbins is a player I mentioned a couple weeks ago as a value running back to try to trade for, because the running back position in Dynasty is such a risk anyway. Why not take a dart throw on an extremely cheap, extremely talented J.K. Dobbins? I mean, the guy is still one of the best college running backs we've ever seen, and when healthy has been very, very explosive in a really, really good offense. And yes, he's scheduled to be a free agent, but I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if he's back in Baltimore this year on a cheap contract. So either way, I'm still buying J.K. Dobbins even after this hype. I really think he's going to be incredibly cheap. And sometimes people look at these sell windows as times to sell high, but it's still technically selling low in my opinion. J.K. Dobbins has been, as high as like RB7, I feel like, in Dynasty. So either way, looking like he's recovering, looking good, and extremely cheap to acquire in Dynasty. So why not try to get him for whatever you can? I feel like you could probably throw a fourth to an owner and get him, which to me seems totally fine. And he's still young. And again, players are injury prone until they're not. And even if J.K. Dobbins gets hurt again, you didn't lose anything for a guy with so much ceiling. So buy him and don't care what happens. It could go well, it could go poorly. Sometimes it's okay to crash and burn. You'll figure it out. Either way, the next running back making some headlines. And guys, this just shows what the power of people coming together can do. A few weeks back, we've done it a couple times now, but a few weeks back and then a couple weeks after that, we all put our hands up in the sky. We did some praying to the powers that be, if they're out there, and asked and pled for Saquon Barkley to go to the Houston Texans. And now, yesterday, it comes out that not only is the Houston Texans my favorite landing spot for Saquon Barkley, but it's Saquon Barkley's favorite landing spot for Saquon Barkley. Reports are now coming out that Saquon Barkley wants to play for the Houston Texans, and that is his top target in free agency, should the Giants let him do that. Of course, we love it here on Wake and Take. We've been talking about it almost for a month now, about how exciting of a landing spot that would be and how much I want it to happen. So just again, before we move on, everyone join me, put your hands up in the sky, do your praying to whatever powers you believe in, and let's just ask Saquon Barkley, please go to the Houston Texans. NFL gods, please let it happen. Let Saquon Barkley go to the Texans. It would be incredible. I would love it. Saquon would love it. Fantasy gamers would love it. And buy Saquon Barkley before it happens. Barkley will be a Houston Texan, and there will be incredible fantasy points coming as a result of that. It's going to be special. I love hearing that Saquon wants to go there as well. I'm ecstatic. I love that. I love it. Try to get some Saquon if you can. I can't. I've been trying to get some Saquon, and I just can't do it. No one wants to sell me Saquon, but that's okay. That's all right. I'll just have my take here on Wake and Take as my only Saquon share. Some other news we have for you in the Jason side of things, just another kind of thing I believe in my gut. Trey Lance, which it looks like I don't have a little picture frame from. That's my fault. But Trey Lance is remaining in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys have decided to bring him back for 2024, giving him a $4.5 million signing bonus, contract, whatever. He's making $4.5 million returning to the Dallas Cowboys next season. And if you've been tuning in, you know that one of my weird gut feelings is that Trey Lance being in Dallas is a good thing. I really can't explain it. I just feel it in my gut. I like it a lot. And I just think it makes sense. I really can't explain it. Just it's in my gut. And I like that he's returning to Dallas. And I really do think that at some point he will get a chance and he will succeed. We've seen it happen with Dak Prescott getting injured and Cooper Rush leading the team to like an undefeated record. I really do think Trey Lance still with his skill set and time behind Dak Prescott on a really, really good franchise kind of has probably reset his mindset and will, help him only going forward. And again, just a historical franchise in Dallas just feels right for me. I really can't explain it, but I like it a lot. And I'm glad he's returning. A fun Reddit comment about this. It was a Reddit thread that highlighted it for me about him returning to Dallas. And somebody commented, and it had to be double checked, that Trey Lance, including high school, has only had 317 pass completions in 8 football seasons. 8 football seasons this guy has played, including high school, and has only had 317 pass completions. That's less than 40 per year. And in case you were wondering, Bryce Young just last season alone in the NFL, had 315 completions. So Bryce Young basically has as many completions in the NFL as Trey Lance has through his high school, college, and NFL career. So a really just weird prospect. Like, I'm not sure how this guy got a scholarship out of high school if he never really played in high school, and then got such a high draft pick in the NFL after not really playing in college. A weird anomaly, totally strange, but I still like him in Dallas. I think it's a fun one. I think it's a good landing spot for him, and I'm excited to see if he ever gets a chance. But just thought that was cool to point out about the completions. So now we'll move on to my favorite story of the day. I don't know if you guys have been seeing this clip going around Twitter or anything really. And it is really, there's no fantasy football takeaway here at all. I just love it. And if you guys know anything about me, I'm the biggest Tom Brady fan in the world. And yesterday, Tom Brady ran the 40-yard dash again. And somebody superimposed it over his original 40-yard dash, his rookie season, or like rookie combine, however that's supposed to be phrased. Here we go. Check this out. 46-year-old Tom Brady versus 22-year-old Tom Brady. Let's watch it again. For those of you on the podcast, or maybe who tuned out for the video for a second, that is 46-year-old Tom Brady beating 22-year-old Tom Brady in a race. Just want to, I mean, I love Tom Brady. I'll use any chance I can get to give him the applause sound effect. That's just wildly impressive. That guy, I mean, we all know it. He could still be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL if he didn't retire. And to see him still be so athletic now, a whole year removed from the football, is really, really impressive. So just want to shout out Tom Brady for he's like an anomaly as well, just as much as Trey Lance is an anomaly in a bad way. Tom Brady is an anomaly in a good way. Love the guy. Glad to see him still kind of involved in the NFL in some way. And I think he's broadcasting next year, which should be fun. So, next quarterback to talk about, we'll move on to another big story here. It is Gino Smith. We talked about it a little bit this week. Mike Macdonald, the new head coach, had literally no idea if Gino Smith would be returning to the Seahawks. That alarmed me because the Seahawks had an out on his contract this year. And you would think that if the head coach was going to sign a contract with the team, that he would know who the quarterback was going to be. We do know now that the Seattle Seahawks will be bringing back Gino Smith for 2024. They will not be exercising the out on his contract, which means they will be paying him for 2024, and his current contract does have him signed through 2025 as well, which I think will probably be the case here unless they decide to release him. My big takeaway from this is that the Seahawks will be drafting a quarterback. I do not believe that Gino Smith is their future franchise quarterback. I think that this is a bridge for another season, probably at most, and my guess is they draft Michael Penix. So keeping him in Washington, I think makes a lot of sense. And I think it would be fun. And I think that while Michael Penix had a really, really good season in college last year, he is still a project. If you guys remember, he did not impress me really at the Senior Bowl. And that's not just me. Everyone has been reporting that Michael Penix needs some work. And I do think sitting a year will help him on an NFL team, along with Bo Nix, who I think the Vikings will take. So that's my fun prediction here. Vikings are going to draft Bo Nix after keeping Kirk Cousins, and the Seahawks will be drafting Michael Penix after keeping Geno Smith, and both of those quarterbacks will be sitting for a year to learn. So we'll go ahead and move on now to another story I've got for you guys, and this is just a feel-good story. Jacob Cowing. If you guys remember from my Senior Bowl recap episode, Jacob Cowing got injured on the very last day of Senior Bowl practices, had to be carted off the field, and looked distraught. Well, Cody Carpentier tweeted out this morning and was there at the interviews as offensive players are interviewing this morning. And Jacob Cowing is fully healthy. He has healed from the Senior Bowl, doing interviews today, and will be doing every drill at the combine. So I'm just happy. He had a pretty solid Senior Bowl, and I felt for him tremendously after he got carted away. The dude looked broken. It was really, really sad to watch. So I'm glad he was able to recover, and I'm glad he's able to be out there today. A player who is nowhere to be seen is Marvin Harrison Jr. And we already knew this, so I'm actually surprised. There's a lot of negative press going on right now about him not showing up to the interview. But if I remember correctly, it was already reported Monday or Tuesday that he was not going to be doing anything at the combine. He's not going to be doing drills, interviews. He's not going to be doing a pro day. He's done Like, we're not going to see him again. I talked about that. I said those words. And yet this morning, everyone's surprised that he's not interviewing. I don't really know what's going on. To be completely honest with you guys, I thought that was already known. So I'm not going to overreact to it. Marvin Harrison Jr. has nothing to prove to us. He's an insane athlete with a really good college resume on a really good college team with a historical father that was a really successful wide receiver in the NFL. Nothing to prove. Not worried about it. Don't worry about it, you guys, either. Marvin Harrison Jr. is still going to get drafted really high, and we knew he wasn't going to be interviewing, so I'm really not sure where this negative press is coming from. Just seems like something people want to latch onto. However, he did weigh in, I guess. There were some measurements released. So he's added 9 pounds. He's now 6'3", 209 instead of 6'3", 200, which is pretty good. Adding some weight, but still not losing any speed or anything, probably. So anyway, that's Marvin Harrison Jr. Another big story out of the combine is the Washington Commanders. And I just thought this was really cool to highlight for a second. As you guys know, owners don't really get involved. And as we also know, the Washington Commanders have a new owner, Josh Harris, who's had a pretty successful ownership career at the NBA, I believe, turning around, what was it, 76ers, I believe. And either way, I just wanted to highlight this because he's actually at the combine, and not often do you hear about owners at the combine, and especially do you not often hear about owners actually being involved in an interview process. It has now been released that Josh Harris is interviewing every single top quarterback prospect along with the Washington Commanders scouting team. And I just think that's really cool. I just wanted to give him some claps. I know I'm not a big billionaire support guy, but that's really cool to see the owner have such a hands-on approach with his team and with what he's done in the NBA. I think I'm right. I think I'm right with his NBA success story. I think that could maybe happen with Washington. I do still think they're a few years away. I'm not too impressed with the Dan Quinn hire for sure, and their quarterback position still needs to get figured out. But having a hands-on owner is going to help. And so I just like to see that, like to highlight that. Another general manager to talk about is Steelers GM Omar Khan. Yesterday, he came out and said he has full faith in Kenny Pickett. And if I'm going to read between the lines here a little bit, if I remember 2 weeks ago, we had an episode on Wake and Take. We discussed one of the rumors going around that there is a division essentially about the Steelers quarterback room. There's arguments about Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph. And I said, well, it's probably the front office that believes in Kenny Pickett and the coaching staff that believes in Mason Rudolph. Seems I was right, especially with Omar Khan coming out and saying he still has faith in Kenny Pickett. The coaching staff does not. The coaching staff does not believe in Kenny Pickett anymore. He will not be the quarterback next year, as much as it sucks. Kenny Pickett has the worst touchdown percentage, whatever, like per pass. I've been seeing that tweet go around. He's like a 1.8% touchdown conversion rate, which is the lowest of any quarterback with at least 300 pass attempts in NFL history. He's not done enough when he's been on the field. Mason Rudolph has, but as we all know, the Steelers are getting a quarterback upgrade. It's not going to be Rudolph. It's not going to be Pickett. This is essentially a non-story, but I just wanted to highlight it to show that it is the front office that still believes in Pickett, but the coaching staff does not. You'll remember a couple weeks back, there was a story that there was a division between the coaching staff and the front office about the quarterback room. We know it's the front office now that has Pickett's side and the coaching staff that has Rudolph's side. So the next bit of news I have for you guys before we get into something about the combine is nothing really too spectacular, but I just thought it was cool. There's some interesting updates coming to the NFL. It is not expected to be the 2024 season. So I might be the first person to talk about this in general, as it's not expected to really hit until 2025 or even later. But the first thing they're trying to do that's futuristic, if you will, is they're looking to remove the chain gang and replace it with optical tracking. They apparently tested it during the Super Bowl and will continue to test it throughout this season. But they're trying to figure out a way to just basically track the first down yardage and everything within the movement of the ball without having to use the chain gang. I think that's really cool. I'm excited to see how that can go. And it will save some time. As we know, I mean, we have to wait for the chains to be reset. You have to do the whole thing, like with the, you know, if you remember the index card and all of that fun stuff. It would be cool to get rid of it. I know that they're a very important part of the game historically, but we don't really need it anymore. I think it would save some time. Maybe cut out a couple commercial breaks. That would be sweet. So I kind of like this futuristic kind of moving forward with the NFL. And it's something we need. Like we really, like we have technology, and I'm not sure why we're not using it as much as possible. And the next kind of futuristic thing they're looking at is a smartwatch for referees that would essentially buzz when the play clock hits 0, so they're able to call delay of games a little bit better. Because I mean, as you guys know, they have to keep their eyes on the center and the quarterback to some degree. They're not really able to watch the play clock and the offensive line all at once. And so the ability to have something that'll just like vibrate when the play clock is done, I think is really cool. I think it's a nifty idea, and I'm surprised it honestly hasn't been done yet. So I think that's something that they're also looking into that'll probably be tested this season, and then probably fully implemented in 2025. But either way, NFL working on some fun new wrinkles for their game, which is pretty cool. All right. The last thing I want to talk about today is the Combine, and we're just going to breeze through this real quick. There are some tight ends performing at the Combine today. Tomorrow will be the rest of the offense, and then Monday we'll do a huge recap talking about NFL Combine results. But I didn't want to speculate on every position, especially with how much news came in yesterday. But I did at least want to give you guys some tight ends to keep your eye on today. So, of course, Brock Bowers and Ja'Tavion Sanders, those are kind of the two tight ends that everyone's excited to watch. Both really good athletes, expected to test well today. Ja'Tavion Sanders out of Texas, Brock Bowers out of UGA. But some sleeper tight ends that I wanted to highlight from my Senior Bowl experience was Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, and Jaheim Bell. Theo Johnson, he's like 6'6", 260 pounds, and really, really fast. I think that he'll have really good combine today and impress a lot of people. So keep your eye on Theo Johnson. Ben Sinnott is another tight end that I liked a lot at the Senior Bowl. He's like 6'5", 250, so a little bit smaller than Theo Johnson, but still he's really fast, and he had really, really good route running, so I think he'll probably surprise in the agility drills, on top of having, still like really, really good size. So I think Ben Sinnott for sure is going to have an impressive Senior Bowl. And Jaheim Bell, this is a guy who's undersized. He's actually like 6'1", but 240 pounds, so he still has the weight. And he was just like an electric playmaker. He's like a Chigakwonkwo light, Gino Smith light. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Still worried about his height, but he demonstrated really, really good route running. And so I think he'll have a really good combine today. Lots of athleticism in that player, Jaheim Bell. And then the last one, I actually don't know a lot about. He wasn't at the Senior Bowl, but Cade Stover out of Ohio State. We have him ranked right now on Player Profiler as the 4th best rookie tight end. So I'm assuming he'll have a solid combine, and going to Ohio State, he probably is a good tight end being in the Big Ten and all that. So that's another player to keep your eye on. But really for me, the sleeper tight ends to keep your eye on today from the Senior Bowl that I liked a lot, Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, are the two I liked a lot. The one I kind of liked was Jaheim Bell, and all three of those should have solid combines today. So just keep a lookout for that. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the questions part of our show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. As always, let's see if there are any questions I could answer. Would I trade Ty Chandler for J.K. Dobbins? I think so. I think I would. I really think I would. They're probably in a similar situation, but there is a chance with J.K. Dobbins that he could go to a team in free agency as well if the Ravens don't decide to bring him back. And there's, a potential that the Ravens decide to try J.K. Dobbins one more time, Keaton Mitchell one more time, and not even get Derrick Henry. So I think it's interesting. And yeah, I think that's a move I don't hate. You could probably get a little something on top of it too. Let's see. Would you trade Chandler? Yeah. Why would you trade Chandler for Dobbins? Chandler's Pollard 2.0, but more explosive. I don't think Ty Chandler is Tony Pollard 2.0. I think we would have seen a bit more for him if that were the case. It took too long for him to find the field last year. And I would definitely take the early third. But I could be wrong, and that's why fantasy football is fun. Barkley in Houston, that just going to be awesome. Just going to be awesome. Let's see. Isn't that what the XFL did with the chains? Yes. And yes, chain gang is also an injury risk. So yes. Stover will be a better NFL tight end than fantasy tight end. I think that's fair. I probably should have even thrown him in there because I don't even know. He'll probably be a blocker tight end. But the three guys I highlighted from the Senior Bowl are the ones I'm more excited about: Theo Johnson, Ben Sinnott, and Jaheim Bell. And all right, cool. That should do it. That should be everything for you guys. So thank you as always for tuning in. Thank you again for a year of Wake and Take. You guys are incredible. Love seeing you guys every single morning. And I will see you all Monday for an NFL Combine results episode. So don't forget to subscribe to the Player Profiler channel if you haven't yet. And don't forget to like this video on your way out. You guys all have a fantastic Friday and a wonderful rest of your week. Peace.
From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.